Welcome back to the Cracked Mug. Today I have one of my absolute favorite dishes of all time. It's beef bourguignon. I hope you like it. I hope it becomes one of your favorites. It is easy to make, easy instructions to follow. You can't go wrong with this. Look, it's a peasant dish from Middle Ages France in the Burgundy region. I think the first known published recipe was around 1867. It didn't become popular until around 1902 in Paris when a chef decided to make it, and that's the recipe that people have stuck with since. This became popular in the United States in the 1960s thanks to Julia Child. It became so popular throughout Europe. All the swanky restaurants wanted to make it. And it's really kind of funny because it's basically a peasant dish. And like so many peasant dishes from around the world, they become our favorites. So I want you to make this. It is full of wine, beef stock, and chunky, tender beef. And it's topped off with mushrooms and pearl onions. This recipe is straightforward. It's authentic and true to the flavors. I think Julia would eat it and enjoy it. So it's dinner time. It smells incredible. I'm hungry and I really need to taste it. So come on, let's get in the kitchen. I'm using chuck roast. It's a nice piece of meat because it has some marbleization going on in it too. I'm cutting them to large cubes, about 2-inch square. I want it nice and chunky. I'm going to season the meat with salt and pepper. Then I'm going to dredge it in the flour, and then we're going to cook it in the fat that is left over from the bacon, which is what we start with. This is a particularly fatty bacon, but it'll render a lot of fat and it will be beautiful for browning our meat. All the ingredients are in the description. Here, about a half cup of flour to dredge the meat in. 1/4 cup or so of tomato paste. 1 whole yellow or white onion. 6, 7, 8 sprigs of thyme. 2 large bay leaves. 3 carrots cut into good sized chunks. We don't want anything too small. And here I have 6 cloves of garlic, which have been chopped fine. 3 cups of beef broth, and of course we'll use 3 cups of a red wine. Since it's Burgundy, Pinot Noir also falls under that category. So a wine you kind of like, but you shouldn't spend too much for it. Do not spend more than $20, period. And I think we're ready. We're going to render the fat in the Dutch oven here. Eventually everything is going to be in the oven for about 1.5 to 2 hours until the meat is tender. Good enough, we don't want to burn it, so let's put this aside. Season your meat very well with salt and pepper. Make sure to get every side. Dredge the cube meat in flour. Use your hand to knock off any excess. So now in the bacon fat that we just rendered, we're going to brown this meat. Do not overcrowd your pan. We want to brown this. We don't want to steam them. Each batch should take about 5 minutes. Do not rush this, as it's important in developing flavor. Once all the meat has been browned, set it aside. Don't throw away the flour you dredged the meat, and we'll use that later for thickening. Medium heat. Let's add our onions. There's not much oil left in my pan. And as you can see, there's a lot of fond in the bottom. Give it a good stir. If you want to, you can add a little splash of your beef broth. Good, we're gonna let these cook for about 3 or 4 minutes. Medium heat. Look at all the color that's coming from the bottom of that pan. Okay, now we're going to add our carrots. Give those a stir. We're going to let these go for about 5 minutes. We're going to add all the garlic. Stir that in for about 2 minutes. You can see all the color coming from the bottom of this pot after I added just a little bit of the beef broth. You could also do that with the water. I can smell that garlic now, so I'm going to add my tomato paste all at once. Let's stir that in. Make sure it's well combined. We want to try and cook a little bit of the raw flavor out. At this point, we should be looking at getting all the fond off the bottom. There's still some there. That's okay. We can add a little more broth, or we can add just a little drop of water. But we want to make sure we get all that off before we move on. So the flour we reserved from the dredging, let's go ahead and throw that in there too. Stir it in. We just want to cook out a little bit of this raw flour taste. A minute or so is fine. All right, so we need 3 cups of wine. Doesn't need to be a perfect science. All right, medium-high heat. And this is our chance to clean our pot. You know I love doing that. So I can feel that the bottom of the pot is clean. We've gotten all that good fond off of it. All right, let's add our 3 cups of beef broth. 2 bay leaves and our bunch of thyme. We're just going to stir this and bring it to a simmer. Now would be a good time to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. This is at a simmer, so right now we're going to add back, I'm going to turn that off actually, and I'm going to add back our browned meat and all the juices that have come out of that, as you see. There we go. I'm also going to add in the bacon. I did pat this bacon dry with some paper towels to remove any excess fat. Give it a stir. Nothing is sticking to the bottom. This is one beautiful bath. We're going to put our lid on it. This is going to go into the oven for about 2 hours, maybe a bit longer depending on how big the meat is and the temperature of your oven. We will pull it out in 1 hour to give it a little treat. And here is the treat. We're going to add some dark chocolate to our beef bourguignon. About 15 grams, 1 or 2 squares. We'll chop it up and we'll drop it into the stew at the 1 hour mark. It adds even more depth of flavor, and the sauce will result in a lovely silky finish. We're at the 1 hour mark, and oh my, it looks and smells delicious. Let's clean the sides of your pot, and we should go ahead and add the chocolate here. Stir well, and we will return this to the oven for another hour, or hour and a half, until the meat is fork tender. Okay, look at the color of this stew. It has been in the oven for 2 hours and 20 minutes, and we have this gorgeous chocolate brown. Now at this point, if the sauce was too thin, I would drain the sauce out of it and reduce the sauce separately. Do not put heat on under the entire stew, or the meat will break down further. All right, this is perfect. There is no fat on the top for me to skim off. One thing beef bourguignon is known for is its topping of mushrooms. So let's move on to that stage, which you can do at any time while it's in the oven or even the day before. Just takes 10 minutes. One of the signatures of beef bourguignon is the finishing mushrooms and pearl onions. I'm using frozen pearl onions that I've thawed out. I've dried them as much as I can, and I'm using more pearl onions that people call for in this recipe, but I love them, so hey, it's my beef. Here are about 1 pound of cremini mushrooms, quartered mostly. Some of the small ones I have halved. Some butter for finishing. I'm going to use a little bit more fresh thyme. I'm heating my pan with a little olive oil. I'm going to get it quite hot, and I expect some sizzle when I add these. Just going to saute these for a few minutes to get a little bit of color on them. Okay, these have a little color on them. That's perfect. I am going to remove them from the heat for now and set them aside. Back on the stove, there's still a little oil in there. I'm going to add our mushrooms. Over a medium-high heat, let them do their thing untouched for about 2 minutes or so. And now we're going to toss these. So I'm going to continue doing this for about 5 minutes until I see the water has been released and they've taken on some color. So the water is being released, they've shrunk down a little bit, and they have some lovely brown on them. We're almost there. I'm going to let these go for maybe 1 more minute. We don't want to overcook these. We want them to be plump and juicy. I'm going to add back in my onions. I'm going to season it well. Now I'm going to add my butter, a little more fresh thyme. Stir that up. I'm going to check it for seasoning. Let this simmer for about 2 minutes, stirring, and then we'll turn the heat off. I only put the beef bourguignon into the oven 30 minutes ago. This is a finishing stage of the dish. You can do it closer to the end, but I'd like to do it now so I don't have to start cooking again later on. I'm having this with smashed potatoes. Here's a 15-second reminder of that recipe. Sliced potatoes, add to cold water, bring to a boil, add salt. In a microwave, heat butter, milk, salt, pepper. Place cooked potatoes in a bowl. Add your heated milk. Mash with a wooden spoon until you reach this consistency. I'm starving. Here it is, this thing of beauty. And it really is beautiful, and the aroma from it is really incredible. And I can't wait to eat it. And as you know, we're going to top it with the mushrooms and the pearl onions. It's incredible looking. Oh my God. The meat held together, but it's just fork tender. It's absolutely gorgeous. Here it goes. So I'm having this with smashed potatoes, which are very chunky potatoes, with little milk and butter. And it's a great way to have a stew. You can have it with mashed potatoes, whatever you like. Crusty French bread. There's lots of sauce in this too, so it'll be a wonderful way to go. But oh my God, the food. Pearl onions, mushrooms, incredible beef. Oh, sorry. There's something truly magical about simple, straightforward food that is full of flavor, personality. This dish can't go wrong. You can serve it any time of year. It is served all year round, obviously. And now I'm going to turn the camera off and have a really good time with this bowl. I'm not moving from here until it's done. Hey, look, thanks for watching. Really appreciate your support. It means a lot to me. And we'll come back soon. See you next time. Bye. Oh my God. You have to appreciate the little things. And there's nothing little about this dish. It's exquisite. Good health.